Hello and welcome to the RPG Blender, where we give lesser played games and forgotten settings the roll the dice they deserve. I'm your host, Game Master George, and today we're going to be talking about Avatar. Yes, Avatar Legends, the largest Kickstarter tabletop RPG that has ever happened until the next big IP creates their own game. It raised over $9 million, and I am one of those people who backed it. Now, I did not back it because I am some kind of Avatar superfan. I backed it because I have never actually taken a look at a game that is based on Apocalypse World. And yeah, I enjoy the setting. And today, we're going to be taking a look at what actually was delivered from this Kickstarter. Now, as I mentioned, I am not an Avatar superfan. I have watched the original series, but that's it. And I only watched it about 3 years ago, when I was up until 2 a.m. every night with a screaming newborn. It gave me lots of chances to catch up on shows that I had never watched. And Avatar was one of the first that I finished. I enjoyed it. It wasn't life-changing. There were parts that I liked, there were parts that I didn't like. But on the whole, I enjoyed the series. So when this Kickstarter came around and I saw that it was based upon Apocalypse World, I decided, you know what? Let's give it a try and see how it comes out. And now that it has, let's start by opening the box and taking a look at what we actually got. So to do so, let's kick it back to Past George. Hello, Past George, and welcome to the show. Alright, so at long last, the Avatar Kickstarter has arrived. Before we talk about the game itself, let's take a look at what we actually got. The box has been opened. Let's see what we got. Ooh, we got a lot in here. And the box gets gone. All right, we have got a lot to go through here. Ooh, I love the look of this. All right, so we start off with the lovely collector's edition of the book itself. Let's go ahead and open this up. Not sure how well this is going to pick up on this crappy little top-down camera, but it's got this beautiful little foil look to it. The feeling of the book itself is fair. It's got a slightly rough texture to the actual cover itself, but it doesn't feel unpleasant. It doesn't have any stickiness to it, so I'm not like finding my fingers being grabbed by the page as I'm running. The quality of the foil, it's nice. It's subtle. It's not an over-the-top shininess like you get on some certain trading cards. It's enough to make it really pop. The front cover and the back cover. I'm not sure which I like better. I like the little subtle notes of the tattoos, but that pattern is very nice in the foil. Okay. Overall, it's a high-quality actual book. Let's open it up. Ooh, whoa, that's a nice material. That slight shine to this blue page, and the page itself, it bends easily. It feels forgiving. I don't feel like it's gonna rip, though. It's still got some thickness to it. I don't know what kind of paper that is, but that's very nice. As far as the pages themselves, they're fairly standard. We got the smooth finish here. A nice, thick paper stock. And then the book itself. The printing is quite nice. The colors are coming out nicely. The words are easily readable, even with this design on the background of the page. All in all, it's a very satisfying book. I'm happy with how this came out. And then we have, oh yes, my favorite thing, the silk bookmarks. I love these, and especially for a game where you're going to be flipping between the setting as well as your character rules. It's nice, and I like getting 2 of them. 2 is a bit unnecessary. 1 is usually fine, but I do appreciate having 2. Let's see what else we got here. We have the Wan Shi Tong Adventure Guide. This should be a bunch of adventures to actually... Oh, the plastic is a little bit ripped up here already. That's unfortunate. But it happens, and it's going to mean I don't need to break out the Master Sword to open this. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was so rudely distracted by myself. This should be a book of adventures for you to run your players through. Again, we have the same type of material that the main book was made out of. Ooh, interesting. So this part here is made out of the same as what the main book is made out of. But then when you actually get to the printed part up here with this image, it's got a little bit of a stickiness to it. That's probably from the ink that's used there, would be my guess. Obviously, it's not going to be two different materials, but whatever that ink is, it grabs the finger a little bit, which, like, you can see my fingers sliding nicely here, but then as soon as it covers over that, you'll see my fingers start to bend. I'm not applying any additional force downward. It's just grabbing my finger more. It's not a bad thing. It's just an observation. And we've got this, basically the same quality print. This reminds me of the prints of the Exalted books, actually. Ooh, the library. Wait, what is this, actually? Am I wrong about what this is? Not just adventures, it's additional settings. Oh, it's additional setting points. Oh yeah, no, it is adventures. I'm not that dumb. But it starts off with the library. Ooh, I like that. I enjoyed that episode of the show, being a librarian's son. Obviously, I enjoy it when libraries are included in things. We've got the legends included as well. Oh, and it's not just to include them. Okay, yep. So we've got guides on how to play the character. I probably wouldn't play them as a PC, but as an NPC, having those guides is very nice. We get to playbooks. Nice having additional playbooks here in this book. And the quality, again, is very nice. I really like the layout and the design. We've again got one of these silk bookmarks. I quite like the book. We're doing well so far. Let's take a look at the rest of what we've got. Oh, okay, so this is just a straight up blank book. A journal guide, I guess for a game master maybe. Just a blank book with a nice little cover on the, nice little bit of art on the front. Right, that is the journal pack. I guess I just got them because I like the design, because realistically, I'm never going to actually write in these. Or they just came with it, so I guess that might be what it was. Whatever, I'm never actually going to write on them, but I like the designs of these. Quite nice. And actually, having looked at them all, this one is probably my least favorite. It's just a bit busy for a journal. I like these more understated element designs. Dice pack. It's dice. Well, let's take a look at the quality of the dice. Alright, so first things first, the tuck box feels very flimsy. I felt like I was going to rip this as I was opening the package. But, I mean, it's a box, and you're probably not going to keep your dice in there, so it really does not matter in the end. And actually, as I'm opening this up, it's more substantial than I initially felt it was. Alright, we have a pack of 12, that's the number. We have a pack of 12 dice, which have the 6s replaced by one of the disciplines that you can follow. I don't always get dice when I'm getting these Kickstarters. It's not always a package that I'm interested in, but I very much like the quality of these. The material this is made of, it's very smooth. They feel very light. I can't speak as to how well balanced they are, of course, but they feel good in the hand, and I quite like the pattern that was chosen for this, that slightly stone-like, rather like a precious gemstone. I'm going to talk more about these disciplines when I talk about the actual game a little later in this video, but as far as these dice go, I quite like them. Alright, next up we have the combat action deck. Oh, this is such a little touch. But I really love when they have these easy pull bits of plastic here with a nice little banding to ensure that it actually rips off. Oh, it's so satisfying when that works. Then you just... Oh, it doesn't do the full rip. Leaves a little bit of plastic there. So close, but I guess then we just do a fold instead of the lift off. Still better than having to fumble with the plastic cover. Alright, this is the combat action deck. Reminder cards for you to speed up your gameplay. Did do the full rip this time, so that's a plus. All right, so what do we have here? Ooh, we got some different packs. Ooh, the cards. So this is something that we saw with another pack of cards that we're going... Oh, I have them right here. The Iron-Sworn Starforged deck. The material that these cards are actually printed with, it causes them to stick together substantially. This video, I don't think, will come out by the time this one does, but you'll see me talking about this a little bit more in another video. It doesn't feel bad in your fingers. It actually feels quite nice. It makes them feel substantial. But they do have a tendency to... you saw it briefly there where it lifted. Right? Okay, so I can't... Let's see if I can do this again with that static. Yep. I didn't actually hold that page, that card at all, but I was able to lift it up with just the static cling and stickiness of this material. So, what do we have here? We have statuses. Status prepared. Status inspired. Status empowered. Status favored. Then we have these evade, and yeah, now we have the actions to remind people of what they can do. It looks like we've got 1 evade, 2 evade, 3. Okay, so these are the NPC cards. And these are the PC ones, I'm assuming. Evade 1, evade 2, evade 6. So we have 6 copies of these cards. That's enough for probably your entire playgroup. Do they have a different back for each set? Yes, they do. Very cool. Nice little touch, and a helpful tool for you to include in your game. Oh, wait. Oh, I was only looking at one side. Nice. So we've got the favored status on one side, the doomed status on the other side. Okay, I didn't realize that they were double-sided. That's fantastic. Empowered, impaired. We'll talk more about this system when we actually go through what I think of this game. Prepared and stunned, and inspired, and trapped. But I'm happy with those, and I can live with the stickiness. All right, now, oh my gosh, I thought we were down to the last thing. Okay, let's talk about this is the dice bag. I'm not a fan of this material feel. It's, how do I describe this? I don't actually know what this is made out of. I don't know what this material is, unfortunately. Oh, does it say down on the tag? Polyester velvet. This fake velvet feel, it doesn't have enough length and give to it. So it ends up feeling very rigid and just not pleasant to touch. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite material for something like this to be made out of. And over here you'll see a little bit of a defect in the quality of the material. I'll try to get a better picture of it and insert it here. But you can see that there's a little loop here where the string on this embroidery was not fully pulled in. And that is undoubtedly going to pull at some point and result in this beautiful stitching being destroyed. But that is the only spot where that seems to have happened. These are very nice. I like the designs. The choice of color for the thread is very nice. I love this golden color. I've been looking for a new dice bag anyway, so I will probably end up using this, which will unfortunately make this die faster. We have this little White Lotus chip. Just a little collectible. Not going to be usable for anything, really, unless there's a mechanic in the game that requires you to mark a certain person. And then we have this wonderful little poster. Very nice. I don't know how well this is actually going to come out with the creases. So I don't know how well this is actually going to be for a display piece on the wall. But for using this to have a table mat for when you're playing, to put in front of you to roll dice on, to protect your rolling surface if you're using those crazy heavy metal dice, this isn't bad. I wish that this was a little bit smaller. You can't even see it. I wish that the copyright could have been a little bit smaller. That's fairly substantial on here, but whatever, minor gripe. And that's everything that came in the pledge. So, what do I actually think of the game? Let's go to Future George and talk about the actual quality of the product. Well, thank you, Past George. That was surely rife with lots of inaccuracies and missed things. Alright, so we've taken a look at the physical products. Let's take a look at the content of the game. In what should be unsurprising to anyone, I think, the setting is one of the major focuses of this book. Nearly 80 pages of the main book are dedicated to establishing the setting, which is to be expected since they are covering multiple eras in the Avatar history. All 4 eras of play are covered, as well as some more general historic events. And honestly, I think this is one of the highlights of the book. As I mentioned, am not an Avatar superfan. I am familiar only with the original Avatar series. I haven't delved into the second series or any of the supporting content. So this book provided for me a good overview of things that happen in the other eras, the overall themes that might draw you to play a game that takes place in that era. Now, I can't speak as to how accurate it is because I don't have that information, but for me, not knowing about those eras, I came out reading that section feeling like I could sit down and create an adventure that takes place in the Roku era. These 80 pages did a good job of highlighting not just events, but also themes that should carry over into your adventure crafting. So while often the setting is something you can skip over, I would recommend that any GM at least take a look at the themes for each of the eras. So yes, unsurprisingly, the setting is a massive high spot on this book. But now we get into some of the actual crunchy bits. Character creation is a very quick process, but it is lacking some meat. Now, I do quite like the fact that one of the first things you do is establish group goals and a story focus. This helps ensure that you are creating characters which are going to mesh well together, all having a single unifying purpose. They can each still have their own individual goals, but that main driving force is what keeps them together as an effective group. Then it comes time to create your individual characters. Each player will choose a playbook. That playbook gives you a range of starting statistics to which you can add 1 to one of them. You can then choose 2 of the 5 unique moves for your playbook. Then you will choose 1 training. That 1 training could be a bending form, or it could be weapons or technology. We'll talk a little more about trainings in a bit. Each playbook also comes with 2 drives, which you will be balancing your character between. To begin with, your character starts in the middle of the track. However, to begin your character, you may choose to shift your balance in either direction by 1 step. And then you may choose a few advanced techniques. The number you can choose is determined by the scope of the campaign. There are some other parts to character creation, but those are the major mechanical impacts. And having gone through that, one major downside, there is no character creation summary chart. At least, not that I found. All of the steps of character creation are hidden within the paragraphs themselves, which means you need to carefully read the entire section in order to make sure you are not missing any creation steps. Now, techniques, which include bending, are mostly flavor. When you are taking a move and stunting it, you are able to use your technique in support of that. You don't get any special bonus for doing so. You just say, and as I use my dodge action, I will use my earthbending to create steps that I can run along in order to get out of the way faster. Something like that. The bending itself carries no mechanical benefit, and that is one of the largest weaknesses of the game. We have here the Jedi problem. How do you balance a Star Wars game where you have Jedi and non-Jedi? There is a distinct power gap between those two forces, and the same is here with benders and non-benders. So how do you actually have benders and non-benders on the same team? Well, you turn it into flavor. Now there are some advanced techniques that each training allows you to take, 12 or 13. 12 for the non-bending and 13 for each of the bending. You can only take those advanced techniques if you have that specific training. Weapons and technology each have 12 advanced techniques. Meanwhile, all bendings have 13 advanced techniques, with 3 of them being locked behind one of the specialized bending, like metal bending or blood bending. That is, except for air, which gets 13 advanced techniques, but has no specialized bendings in the book. That means all 13 of their advanced techniques are able to be taken by any airbender, whereas each other bending type will have to learn multiple bending trainings in order to learn every advanced technique. My god, how many times have I messed up training and technique in this? Now, fire has only 2 specialized forms of bending. Earth and water each have 3. For earth, this means that each one of its locked techniques goes behind one of those 3 specialized forms. For water, however, they have 2 advanced techniques for bloodbending. If you have any skill for mathematics, that means that there is only 1 advanced technique left for 2 specialized forms. Heal gets that 1 specialized technique, leaving spirit bending with no advanced techniques at all. That means that spirit bending, one of the specialized forms mentioned in this book, has no mechanical benefit whatsoever. Now, it's possible that I missed it in some chapter in this book, but to my knowledge, and please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I'll pin your comment if you're right, but what this means is that there is actually no benefit to your character for gaining this specialized form. They may add it in a future supplement, but for now, the form is useless. Mechanically speaking, at least. Yes, it's very flavorful, whatever, being able to manipulate spirits. I don't care. We're talking mechanics and hard crunch here. And that leaves this waterbending specialized form lackluster. Now let's talk the mechanics. You will roll 2d6, then add a relevant stat modifier. Your goal is to get a 7 or higher for a partial success, or a 10 or higher for a full success. Failure. These rolls are controlled by moves. Whereas Dungeons & Dragons gives you skills that you specialize into and then use in your various actions, Avatar Legends gives you moves. And when you wish to do something, you find the move that most accurately represents the task you're trying to accomplish. And that move will detail any requirements that you need to do, as well as what stat you will be rolling with. It feels very limiting, as you are restricting yourself to just a handful of moves that you can do. But the truth is that these moves pretty well cover all of the actions that you could try to accomplish. You just need to start thinking about what the moves mean, rather than just looking at your stealth skill. Time to talk combat. Combat is weird, but I like it. To begin each round, every player, and the GM for the NPCs, will pick one of 3 approaches: defend and maneuver, advance and attack, or evade and observe. You then resolve these choices in the order of defend and maneuver, advance and attack, then evade and observe. Once everyone has resolved their moves, you then resolve anyone who is taken out of the fight. So even if someone gets their advance and attack move on you, which takes you out, and you chose evade and observe, you still will get to do your evade and observe action before you fall into a useless mess. It is a weird game of rocks, paper, scissors, which gets more complex and interesting as you add in advanced techniques. In all, I like this combat, but I do think it is very messy when you run it the first few times. So, what are my overall thoughts of the game? The thing is, this is a very narrative-focused style of play. If you're here for crunch, you are not going to be satisfied by this game. There is virtually none. The mechanics work and are enough for what they're trying to accomplish, but it feels, and I'm probably going to get some flack for saying it this way, but it feels like you are a Pokemon. With your 4 moves on little trading cards in front of you, you play your move and you hope that it works. Now that's a very, I don't know why I described it that way, but I hope some of the meaning has come through there. You are taking free-form actions, but you are forcing them into the confines of a move to determine the mechanics. And most of the mechanics are not very deep. But as I said, one of the highlights of this is how well laid out the setting is. As a casual fan of the series, I feel confident that I could branch out and play in one of the eras that I am not as familiar with. I feel like I am informed enough to do that, but I am also uninformed about the setting. This could be full of misinformation and overgeneralizations that help miss the point, and I am unfortunately not the right person to judge whether that is the case. But for me, coming from an outside perspective, I feel confident that I could run this game, which is something that I don't always feel when I'm picking up a licensed tabletop game. Now, as to what I am less thrilled about, that is the characters themselves, which feel like they are lacking some meat. As I mentioned, there is not much crunch to this system, and the narrative focus of the game leads to weaker customization possibilities. You choose your playbook and your training, and that defines your character. This is not a game where you are building your own unique creation. You choose a playbook and you play within its rules. And along with that, I feel like the balancing of bending has turned it into a pretty meh option. And this is due in part to how small the technique list is. These advanced techniques, the only mechanical benefit you get for your trainings, amount to a dozen, bakers or otherwise, advanced techniques that you can choose for your training. After a few times playing this game with different characters, you're going to begin to see a lot of overlap and familiar styles, at least mechanically. As I mentioned, this is a very narrative-focused game, and there are narrative elements to character creation that help you make the character more unique. But how unique that becomes is up to you and your creativity, and that is not something I can judge. I can only talk mechanics, the cold, hard crunch of the game. And I do find that character customization is a bit lacking. Overall, though, I do like this game and I intend to play it. For me, I enjoy a narrative-focused game. I do enjoy crunch as well, so I do wish that there was a little bit more of that to this game, but the narrative focus does fit well with me and my group, and I am interested to see how quickly they will be able to adapt to the unusual moves structure. I can see some of my players where that's going to help them out a lot, the ones who are often paralyzed by choice. Instead, having a range of moves that you can do can help to focus in a direction rather than the infinite possibilities. But other players who like that infinite possibility world may chafe at the idea of translating them into these small moves. So if you have players that like a narrative-focused game, you will probably get use out of this. But if your players are crunch fiends, stay far away. Oh, and before I go, one thing that I should mention is that when I went to read the book, I noticed a lot of damage to it that I hadn't during the opening, and I went back and actually checked the footage and saw that it was there. I just didn't notice it in the moment. So yeah, I'll put up some pictures of that here, and that is, that's disappointing. I have reached out to their support to see what we can do about getting a replacement, because, I mean, this is a collector's edition of the book. I would like to not have massive dents before I even get a chance to use it. We'll see what happens there. Oh, and yes, the string on the bag already started unraveling. So I was right about the potential damage of the dice bag. I hope that you've learned something about the game, and I hope that it's helped color your decision about whether you're going to pick it up for yourself or not. Although with 9 million raised on Kickstarter, you've probably already made your decision and have picked it up or not. That's a lot of people that backed it. If you liked this video, like, comment, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff that really helps push us up in the algorithm. The channel has been doing quite well lately, and it's because of you guys. Because of the likes, the comments, and subscriptions that have helped tell YouTube to push this video and others out to more people. And I want to say a big thank you to our patrons Bubble Dirt, the Pyahoo, and Red Comet. Thank you for supporting the channel. And if you want to support the channel beyond those free likes, comments, and subscriptions, but those are really the things that would very much help more than anything else, we do have a Patreon, but there are currently no benefits going on there. I'm restructuring it. Things are going to be a little different moving forward as I was kind of burning myself out for a bit there. If you want to do some kind of donation, we do have super thanks here, but you don't have to use that. That's fine. I'm making this stuff to help you out. But if you do it, it'll help me pick up more games to review and provide tutorials on. Anyway, that's enough shilling. Thank you for watching the video, and remember, there's gaming outside the Forgotten Realms.